Okay, so in the last video, we kind of talked about the fact that we went through the merge, we've shipped our code, but we kind of skipped over the code review process. Now, the reason for that is because code reviewing isn't typically something that you do as a developer, but everyone ends up doing those code reviews as well, and I wanted to make sure that doing a code review and reviewing a code review were done one right after another without interrupting basically shipping the code. So we've gone through so far and covered how do we get our code to the computer, how do we make code changes, how do we get those code changes back to GitHub, creating a pull request, requesting reviews, and merging it. Now we're into, actually doing the code reviews. So my brother was kind enough to loan me his GitHub account so that we can do a code review with this. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to walk through and do a code review and some of the different features that you have as a reviewer. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to go hunt down the code review that we're looking for. Now, the first thing to go do this is we basically go the same place as we did when we were creating the pull request. We can go to pull requests here, and then you can select them here. You can also filter by different things with this as well. So in this case, it's already filtered to open. And if we really wanted to, you can go through and reviews. It says awaiting review by you. That's a particular one that's really helpful for this because it tells you which ones you still need to review. So as a code reviewer, I'm going to go click here. And the first thing you can do is you can go kind of give everything a read through. Now, as a code reviewer, I always like to go through and confirm, everything in terms of write-up. So, yep, this looks good in terms of what they're working on. Title looks good. Labels, assignees, everything looks good here. If something's not right, like maybe let's say I wanted to go add a bug label to this one as well, as a reviewer, I can just add that if it's a minor change like that. It's the code changes where you want to actually do the review, but some of those documentation changes you can just do yourself, make sure everything looks good, and go from there. Now, you notice here it's kind of difficult to do a code review because there's no code. Well, that's because all of your code is over in this Files Change tab. So, as a code reviewer, you can click Add Your Review, and it will take you right to the Files Change tab. But even if you're not listed as a reviewer, you can still do a code review. By clicking this Files Change tab, this shows everything that's been done in the repository. So here we go through, we have our point class we added, and here we have the test class we added, and everything we've done so far. Now, the first thing we can do is we can go create a comment. See this little happy blue dot here? We can go through and we can go find a spot that we want to make a comment. For example, I want to go make a comment here. And my comment is going to be, maybe this should not be random. Don't want it the same as y. And then what you can do is you've added your comment. You have two options. We can either add a single comment and that posts it right away and notifies the person that you're commenting on, or you can start a review. I would pretty much always recommend starting a review because very rarely are there ever any points where you literally just have one comment that you want to make, and you usually find more as you go. So that's my recommendation there, but you can do a single comment if you like. We can also do multi-line comments. So if we head back up here, as you can see, I can go click this thing or the little blue rectangle, hold it. So I'm clicking and holding. Then if I press the Shift key and drag, it will let me highlight multiple lines. So if I want to go highlight both of these, I can go add a review saying, these should be private. And if we look there, you can see it's a comment on both lines 5 and 6 at the same time. Now the third thing that we can do that's really awesome as a reviewer is we can actually make suggestions. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go make a quick suggestion here and see this little plus minus icon. If you click it, this is a suggestion. And now you have to do this to code that's being added. You can't do it to red code that's being deleted. But now if I type something here, for example, we're going to change this to public int get x, and then return chord x. And I can go through, and that's a comment. And if I even wanted to, I could go through and make this for our y as well. And once they add a review comment here, notice that it's actually listed as a change itself. And we can go do the same thing to multiple different files all at once. So you're not limited to just one change. So over here, we can go through and say that this is going to be a suggestion. So I want it to edit this. Instead of adding to it, we're just going to edit it. Instead of doing it directly, we're going to call our new method we gave. So we're going to call that as get. And we're going to do the same thing here with y. And so I've gone through, I've made some code review changes, and now you can see it's kind of confusing all the stuff that's going on. The one more thing I want to go highlight for code review, you can mark a file as viewed, and it'll just condense it down and mark it off. So yep, I've already reviewed it. Yep, everything looks good. Okay, we can mark it as viewed, and we're good to go. So finally, it's time to actually finish the review. To do this, we hit down this finish review, and we can add a final comment and this final approval. So I would, final comment isn't required, but I would pretty much always recommend adding one, even if it's just, great job, ship it, you're approved, or a, looks good so far, but we've got some changes to make, and, then we'll come back to it type thing, or just even a comment of, looks good, waiting to go ship it for something else or whatever the reason. I would pretty much always add a final comment. So for this one, just a few changes, then good to go. And so I'm going to request changes, and this will block them from basically merging until I approve it again. If I comment, it won't count as an approval for them, but it won't block them either necessarily. And if I approve, they're good to merge. So I'm going to submit the review. And that was the gist of basically doing a code review for someone. Now in the next video, we're going to go into more detail about actually resolving a code review.